Wednesday, everyone. I'm Contessa Brewer. That countdown clock at the bottom of your screen, the countdown to the president's speech tonight, and he needs to convince some reluctant lawmakers, those who argue the government shouldn't decide people's health care decisions. He needs to explain, and curious enough, don't they realize that right now insurance companies make the very same decisions, and they're in it to make money? Well, let's get real. Mark and Tyler Robison join me from San Francisco. Good to see you guys. You know, Tyler, I know you care so much about this current debate that you, as a 13-year-old, wrote a letter to the president. Tell me your story.
All right, so I'm now 14. I just turned 14 on August 5th, and when I was 8, I had an operation for a hernia, and 18 months later, the health care provider BlueCross retroactively rescinded our coverage for healthcare and took away they took away all the money that we had paid them,
okay,
like our premiums for the 18 months.
So Mark, why did that happen?
Well, BlueCross was our original provider. Prior to Tyler's conception, they paid for the prenatal care. They paid for Tyler's delivery when he was born in August '95. BlueCross was our provider and carrier. I was in an accident in 2001, wasn't able to pay my insurance after about a year, so we dropped it, reinstituted it 6 months after that, and then about 3 years after that point, there was this congenital anomaly that appeared on Tyler that our doctors originally said would probably correct itself. It's all in BlueCross's files from the time he was born. The operation was successful. A year after they performed the operation, BlueCross rapaciously and capriciously or unconscionably retroactively rescinded our policy, and we had to all of a sudden pay all the bills to the providers.
Here's where you got into trouble, and Tyler, I want to say what the problem is, if it's okay with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tyler was born with an undescended testicle. You were asked on your insurance form whether there were any fertility problems in your family. There were no fertility problems with your wife. There were no fertility problems for you. And so then when Tyler goes in for this operation, what they say that Tyler as an adolescent has fertility problems because of this?
Yeah.
Well, curiously enough, the insurance questionnaire form was a compound question. It said, is there anyone about to be insured have any reproductive or fertility problems? My wife and I had had 2 children. You don't think about a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old with reproductive problems. So, of course, even though it's a compound question, we checked no.
Okay, so you wrote this letter to the President Obama. I'm going to read part of it on the air, Tyler, and put it up. You write, my family is an example of the rapacious, unconscionable, post-claim recessionary underwriting practices of BlueCross to claw back their payments to enhance their bottom line in order to meet Wall Street's expectations. Given that I just heard your dad use the word rapacious with us, am I to understand that he probably helped you a little bit with this letter?
He helped me a little bit, but most of my vocabulary I've learned from my dad because he used to be an English teacher, so I've learned it from him and my teachers.
So you're very smart. What do you want to hear from the president tonight? And what to you as a 14-year-old would make sense?
Well, just that if he was going to have this change in healthcare, that it should help everybody and that people should look at the upside about it instead of the downside, because that's all they're looking at.
And Mark, when you hear people opposing healthcare reform, and you've been the victim of an arbitrary problem with an insurance company not paying for the medical care when you've been paying your premiums, I mean, what would be your response? How do you want people to think of this debate?
Well, let me make something crystal clear. Tyler and I are here. We do not have a political agenda. We're very altruistic in the way we review society.
Yeah.
We are here to help benefit 35 million Californians and 380 million U.S. citizens. The problem with the healthcare industry is that when they rescinded our policy, they wouldn't even send us back our premiums that we had paid for a year. The problem with the healthcare industry is that the hospital charged BlueCross $4,000 for the procedure and then charged charged me $12,000 for the same procedure. And I said, why is that? Blue Cross made $500 million the year before, and I made $50,000. They said, well, Blue Cross has a lobbying machine, and they get bulk rates. I hope that the President and our Congress can do what the California State Assembly just did. They passed a bill yesterday that went through the State Assembly and the Senate, and it now sits on the governor's desk. Same bill that Assemblyman De La Torres did last year,
right.
Senate Bill 1945. And unfortunately, the governor vetoed that at the very last moment last year because the lobbyists got to him.
But you're making the argument that I was making earlier, that insurance companies are a bureaucratic mess, and so there are some people who say, yeah, well, you're trading one bureaucratic mess for another, but who knows? Guys, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. Tyler, Mark, thank you.